Well, it's official. Just about every rumor out there was pretty much right about NVIDIA RTX. Though to be fair, so much of this was revealed at the recent SIGGRAPH. A lot of what was shown off today at Gamescom in Cologne, Germany was just a reiteration, and Jensen Huang, God bless him, and as much as I can tell he loves lecturing about the nitty-gritty details, he sure dragged his presentation on for far longer than he should have. People came to see gameplay and real information in regards to price, availability, etc. They got it eventually, it just took a very long time to get to that point in the presentation. It took way too long. Well, as much as NVIDIA is touting the Turing architecture and the subsequent line of RTX graphics cards, should we be as excited as Jensen is trying to get us to be? Like with so many other examples, it's kind of early to tell. While I may be simplifying it, a lot of the new ray tracing features for RTX compatible games are simply bolt-on graphical additions to already raster compatible games. Hybrid rendering, as it's known, using both a traditional raster pipeline with ray tracing, is still entirely dependent on geometry throughput, and textures are always needing improvement as well. Gamers without any ray tracing hardware into the near future will still get reasonably good facsimiles of realistic lights and shadows, as we have been doing so the last few years. The lighting side of the pipeline is where ray tracing has its merits, so until games start to push it where it counts, I think gamers are going to be a bit underwhelmed. It's going to take a second or even third generation of RTX to really make ray tracing a permanent and expected part of gaming. The existing ecosystem will need to support it and pure raster rendering as well for the foreseeable future, which begs the question as to where AMD's ray tracing capabilities will stand with future Radeon releases and also in future game consoles. Like other graphical techniques, such movement starts somewhere and ray tracing adoption will grow over time. It's just going to take a while as the industry competition and demand catches up. Aside from the Battlefield 5 demo, I wasn't entirely impressed. It's more immersive, sure, but GPUs and developers already were doing a great job faking high quality lighting, shadows, reflections, and whatever else ray tracing excels at. What troubles me is developers could skip entirely doable raster workloads for ray tracing as a way to get people to adopt NVIDIA's products, while leaving raster render paths looking much worse on purpose. But in the meantime, these cards are still entirely dependent on performance and non-ray tracing workloads. Nobody wants to buy a product for future promises, especially a 754mm² $1,000 monster, if it can't meet current workloads now. Smartly, the new Turing shader multiprocessor is designed to run concurrent floating point and integer workloads down at the shader level. Assuming drivers and non-RT games can support it, this could be a major boost in performance. And it might even be more beneficial to sub-RTX level products that might forego ray tracing hardware altogether for raster performance only. NVIDIA still needs proper replacements for the GTX 1060 and 1050, the addition of smaller ray tracing and tensor arrays may not be worth the die cost. Also, NVIDIA likely wants the public to perceive GeForce RTX as a premium Halo brand for this generation. Bringing ray tracing to the masses at the mid-range could be damaging to that perception. Either way, comparing theoretical performances of past, current, and future GPUs is going to get really tricky, aside from real-world results. RTX Ops as a denomination of performance was a very convoluted, ambiguous, not to mention very Apple-like way to describe relative performance. In such a fashion, new marketing terms can be blinding as to what is really going on underneath. There were a lot of carefully chosen statements during the presentation talking about X increase in performance over the 1080 Ti, especially when using the RTX Ops moniker. That was including the tensor and ray tracing hardware, which means absolutely nothing in non-ray tracing workloads. On the contrary, NVIDIA knows it has to deliver in current workloads, and it's good they're divulging some of the traditional metrics that still matter. Quick adopters might end up being disappointed if RTX does not meet non-ray tracing expectations. Luckily, ray tracing has been worked into a specification within DirectX, keeping it open to other vendors. Regardless, NVIDIA has some very deep pockets, and for 2 decades has done a great job maintaining relationships with developers, still working to their favor when AMD and ATI had legitimate performance leads. Like PhysX, GameWorks, and most notably Tessellation, I expect games using DirectX ray tracing will be geared for NVIDIA's hardware while tanking on anything else. When competition possibly catches up, NVIDIA will just move on to another technology that acts as a showcase that others can't handle. What I can comfortably say is that NVIDIA really has RTX panned out to further cement its grip as the leader in graphics hardware, and they're clearly setting themselves up for further domination in this area, among other areas. As their competition tries to catch up, NVIDIA is already working on RTX's next form, which I believe will target not just the Halo SKUs, but an all-encompassing line from top to bottom. And to give them credit, their first implementation of RTX hardware is genius. Using their already established Tensor AI cores to speed up the back end of rendering was just an incredibly good idea. They've really done a great job using a hybrid of solutions to make real-time ray tracing a reality. With such massive potential, GeForce RTX as designed is a huge paradigm shift whose on-paper performance simply can't be described by teraflops anymore, and I'm eager to see how it shapes the industry to come.